the search builds for missing dad Grant Andrews.
There's a million of these little camping areas up around here.
And his children feel the pain.
Hopefully, and I'll bring him home to you, eh?
In South Australia, they called them Thelma and Louise.
She actually came into the bedroom to get the suitcase, and at that time I woke up.
They vanished, leaving behind 11 children between them.
2 women have left together and not a trace. Nothing has been heard from them since.
And has anyone seen Stanley the mechanic?
It's quite unusual for someone to ring from a phone box on the side of a freeway, say their car's broken down and then not heard of again.
A distraught call, and no one's heard anything since.
I just don't understand it. It's just not his character to disappear like this. I don't know.
Morning, everyone. Another busy day for everyone.
A very busy day with 20 new reports just overnight.
A mixed bag of cases today. Gary, I've got a 63-year-old man from Malgoa. We're out west in Sydney. He was meant to pick up his wife and daughter from Sydney Airport last night.
Senior Constable Gary Bailey gets the case of Stanley Wallace. After his car broke down, he rang his family from the freeway north of Sydney, but that was 16 hours ago.
He said his car had broken down, but he hasn't been heard of since. And Steve, you're back out on the road today looking for missing dad Grant.
Grant's wife, Tracy, reported him missing last week when he didn't return from work, and no one's seen him since.
Let's hope we find him soon for the family. So that's it, everyone. Let's have a great day.
At the South Australian Missing Persons Unit, a cold case gets a new investigation. Senior Constables Kate Helbig and Paul Tomlinson begin a new search for 2 runaway mums. The media called them Thelma and Louise.
There were 11 children left behind. There were 6 in one family and 5 in the other. So the 2 youngest from each family were 5 years old.
Joyce Eastwood was 33. Hazel Pope, 32, when they arrived in Adelaide from England in 1968. But just 2 years later, they went to work and their 11 children never saw them again.
Because it was so long ago, they may have been able to create a new identity for themselves, and another option is that they could have met with foul play. It's an awful lot of children to leave behind, so it is something a bit different than a lot of other cases.
Back at the Sydney Missing Persons Unit.
Hello.
Hi, Janelle.
Yes.
Senior Constable Patrick Condon from Missing Persons Unit.
Pat's calling Janelle,
Yourself?
the wife of mechanic Stanley Wallace, who vanished on the way to pick her up at Sydney Airport.
Would you mind just pulling over just for the mobile reception so we don't lose you?
Janelle and her son Darren have been searching the freeway for Stanley between Sydney and Newcastle.
Where was he travelling from yesterday?
Well, we don't really know. The only thing we know is we had a phone call from him, or my son did, at about 10 to 4 yesterday.
That call to tell the family he'd broken down was made almost 18 hours ago.
No other family or friends in the Newcastle area?
We have friends at Taree, but they haven't sighted him. They're travelling down as far as Raymond Terrace to have a look at that section of road.
Where on the freeway are you now? How many minutes past Hornsby would you be?
Maybe 20 odd k's past.
Right, we're going to head off from Parramatta now,
Yeah.
and we'll meet you on the freeway.
Okay then. Okay.
Bye.
Pat and Gary are going to meet Janelle at a truck stop 20 kilometres north of Sydney. Meanwhile, here in South Australia, in the case of those missing mums, Joyce and Hazel, Kate hits the road to re-examine evidence.
We only found out about this case some 2 years ago.
37 years after Joyce and Hazel went missing, their families have finally filed an official report. Now, the Missing Persons Unit has to discover exactly what happened when the mums disappeared back in 1970.
Hi, Janet. How you going? Okay, how are you? Good, thank you.
2 of their 11 children, Joyce Eastwood's daughters, Janet and Angela, have spent decades looking for the mums without any luck.
I just thought we might go through your statements again today. There's just a few things I wouldn't mind going over again. Can you tell me your memory of the morning she left? Do you have a clear recollection of that?
Mum got up to go to work. she actually came into the bedroom to get the suitcase, and at that time I woke up. And she sort of got the suitcase down and just told me to go back to sleep. And I remember a lot of noise outside, as in people talking, and the footsteps on the gravel, and then the car leaving. So that was sort of pretty much it.
Meanwhile, back in New South Wales, Pat and Gary are heading north of Sydney to search for mechanic Stanley Wallace. He broke down somewhere on this freeway 18 hours ago.
It's quite unusual for someone to go missing on a freeway in my experience. Generally people go missing from their home. It's quite unusual for someone to ring from a phone box on the side of a freeway, say that their car's broken down and then not heard of again.
Even more confusing is why Stanley was in this area in the first place. He should have been at Sydney Airport picking up his wife, 60 kilometres in the opposite direction.
There's no explanation at all from the family as to why Mr Wallace is up here. His family at Port Macquarie, he hasn't been there at all. His friends at Taree, he hasn't been there. So very strange as to why he's up this area.
I want to ring the missing person's son and see where he actually got this call from his father.
Pat's trying to locate the emergency phone Stanley used to call his son, Darren.
Yep, Optus is the carrier.
Back at the missing persons unit, Mandy Gale starts the phone trace.
The phone number for the son is 9788.
If Mandy can match a number on Darren's mobile to the emergency phone on the freeway,
Thanks very much.
they'll have Stanley's exact last known location. Then, further up the road, Pat meets up with Darren and his distraught mum, Janelle. They've spent the last day driving up and down this freeway without any success.
I just don't understand it. It's just not his character to disappear like this. I don't know.
That never happened before?
No, never happened. In 35 years we've been together, so we've worked together, we've travelled together, we've done a lot of things together. There's no reason for it to happen.
You try and think positive, but you just you keep thinking of the worst. Like, you know, what if he's sick in the car or someone's hit him walking up the road? You don't know.
It worries me.
Back in South Australia,
Angela, there's just one part here in your statement I thought I wouldn't mind just going through with you again.
Kate's realising their disappearance could have been planned.
In just the last few weeks before they left, you remember Mrs Pope and your mum?
Yeah.
Talking about wigs and mum thinking of turning her hair blonde.
That's right.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
They used to quite often get together early in the evening. You know, we were asked, you know, what we thought that she might look like with blonde hair. So
The two mums, Joyce and Hazel, were acting more and more strangely in the weeks before they vanished.
You went on about her collecting money in a handkerchief.
that had been happening for quite a while.
But why was Joyce collecting the money?
I remember being told being told by Dad that he'd received a letter and that it was from a department store over in Perth.
It was actually a bill signed Hazel Eastwood, a combination of the two mums' names.
There was no other accounts that your father received, it was just that one that you remember?
It's crucial new information because after 4 decades, Kate finally has the evidence that Joyce and Hazel may have run off together.
It was shortly after that that Dad sort of sat us all down and said that, yeah, Mum wouldn't be coming back.
Meanwhile, back at the truck stop north of Sydney,
And we've rang all the service stations, done all the hotels.
the more Gary digs, the stranger this case becomes.
Everything's been all right at home and that.
Everything's fine at home. It's probably the happiest he's been in 35 years we've been together, so probably the best he's been is achieving things that he's retired and he's
Yeah,
done things that
I was just going to
wanted
say that
do,
he's retired and
restoring his cars and
He doesn't know anything, you know, he's quite settled in his way and worked hard to get there, you know, and that's what he is, he's a worker. So my initial reaction was that he's there still trying to fix the car, you know, because that's what he would do.
it seems very strange, doesn't it? Like just to make that call.
Because I'm sure he turned around and he said he was outside Hexham. That's as far as I got, and it dropped out.
But when Janelle and Darren checked the freeway near Hexham, there was no sign of Stanley or his car.
What more worries me is someone else or something like that that's happened, or something that he couldn't turn around and control.
Didn't have control over, yeah.
Like his health, you know, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
Just
it'll be
hope.
all
Just hope, yeah.
Just got to keep thinking the best, think positive, you know. All right.
Meanwhile, in their search for missing dad, Grant Andrews, Steve and Mandy are off to the Hunter Valley, north of Sydney, to meet his wife, Tracy.
I found out that he's actually accessed his credit card and made a purchase at a camping store. It makes me sort of tend to think that he may just want to get away for a little while, by the sounds of it now.
Steve is sure that Grant's wife, who's housebound with rheumatoid arthritis,
Can we sit down and have a bit of a chat?
will have some answers.
Has he been any different in his moods?
A bit stressed.
Bit stressed?
Stressed, yeah, over money and his job, because there's a fear that his job could be gone. That's the only thing I know that's been worrying him, is his job and money.
Right.
That's...
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Now, has he got any favourite spots you know of?
He loves the bush.
Loves the bush?
Loves the bush. That's the only thing I can tell you. The kids went up a mountain up here and had a bit of a look, but as the police officer from Toronto said, there are parts where the kids couldn't get to.
Yeah.
They were going to look at that. I honestly don't know. He sounded fine. He was fine when he went to bed Sunday night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly do not know. And he's not the type of person just to do this.
Yeah.
So whatever's worrying him, it's something big because he
yeah.
just would not pack up and leave his kids and me and...
Back in the Hunter Valley, Steve and Mandy are heading to a camping store where Grant Andrews bought equipment less than 24 hours earlier.
I'm hoping that he needs a bit of time out. He seems to have a couple of worries. There seems to be a bit of financial worry about his work as well, because they're talking possibly about closing down the Newcastle depot. And plus, Tracy's ill, and he's probably taken that burden on as well.
Steve is hoping Grant told someone where he might be heading.
We're chasing up a missing person. This gentleman here?
Face vaguely rings a bell, yes, for a amount of hiking gear, camping gear for a son coming in from overseas.
Right, okay. Would you have a list of what it was?
I would have a list, yes.
Yes, I'll have a look at that. Thanks. Thank you.
The problem is, Grant Andrews doesn't have a son.
So he just said gear was for his son. He didn't give in any indication where he's going?
No, he didn't know. He purchased basically a 65 litre or a 60 litre travel pack or hike pack.
Right, yeah.
A lightweight sleeping bag, a 3-person dome tent, a billy for boiling water in over a fire, a lightweight nest kit, and a little water bottle.
Okay.
So all lightweight type items. For general car camping rather than actual hiking.
Okay, yep.
And that's far too much gear to carry on a hiking trip.
You think he's living out of his car or close to his car?
Yeah.
That's going to be the key thing, isn't it, to find the car?
Yep.
North of Sydney, 20 hours into the search for Stanley Wallace, and it's not looking good. At the local police station, Gary and Pat
There's a photo there, mate. Yes.
decide it's time to issue a national missing persons bulletin. Back on the streets, family friends Gail and Rod have joined the search.
We're very close friends with Stan and Janelle, known each other for over 20 years, and they're always there to help us, so we came straight away as soon as we could. Rod had to just get off work and we're straight down to help out as long as they need us.
They've just combed every inch of the highway along the coast south of Taree, but still haven't seen Stanley or his car.
Well, the car's not out in the street, so he's obviously got it going again. Well, you'd think. Be positive. Do the police make calls to the hospitals at all, or is that up to you?
We've done that this morning.
They checked the whole Hunter region.
Yeah.
He hasn't been admitted to anywhere under his name or anything like that, and there's no one meeting his description or anything like that, so that's good news in a way.
Good news. If you want us to look anywhere else, if you get any other thoughts, then
I'll ring
come
you.
down and keep looking.
Thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
All right.
All Darren and Janelle can do now is keep searching and hoping. At the same time, acting on the tip-off from the camping store,
What a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Steve and Mandy have rushed to this isolated site
Doesn't look like his car's
on
here.
the New South Wales north coast.
There's a few tents, though.
I guess we can show them the photo and
go
have a
talk
look
to a few of
anyway.
the other campers. See if they've seen him at all. You seen him?
No, I don't think so.
No, I couldn't say I have.
No, definitely not.
Seen him at all? No.
Cannot,
Okay, then.
cannot
Thanks.
place him here, mate. No.
Yep, no worries at all. Thank you very much
And
for
I
that.
am a local, so...
Yep. You've never seen him around?
No, mate.
Yeah.
No. I'd know that sort of face.
Still
But-
pick him to be the sort of guy that's sort of further in the bush.
Yeah. Probably be somewhere where it's a bit rougher to get to.
And if Grant's gone bush, he'll be even harder to track down.
There's a million of these little camping areas up around here. Like one's off-road, cleared space, you could be anywhere.
So it looks like a long day for Steve and Mandy, but heartbreaking for Tracy and the girls.
I'd like to ask anyone with any information about my husband to please contact the police and the missing persons unit so we can find him straight away. And Grant, if you're watching, please come home.
Finally, after 24 hours of searching, Stanley Wallace has turned up kilometres away from where they thought he'd be.
Just feel the weight being lifted off my shoulders, and Mum's up there. She couldn't be more happy if she tried, and the rest of the family's all really, really good.
He was admitted here to Borkham Hills Hospital not long after he went missing.
What happened? Mate, well, I still don't know positively as yet. I know he's had an operation. He's had a bowel operation and all that sort of stuff. He's got the morphine. He's got all the drips hanging out of him at the moment. He doesn't actually remember getting here. He remembers parking the vehicle out the front there for a while, but that's about as much as I got out of him so far. And I won't sort of know until tomorrow, until he probably is a bit less drowsy.
As shaken as he is, Darren can still express his love.
As they say, you're not a man until your father's gone. So, sort of today I felt like I was halfway there, but now, I feel like I'm his boy again. So that's how I feel, and I couldn't be happier, mate, Thanks, Darren. Good on you, mate. I'm a good lad for you. All right, appreciate it. I'll give you a call. Give us a call. Let us know what happened. All right?
Appreciate your time, guys. Fantastic result. Family happy. We're happy. Great result.
Meanwhile, in the Hunter Valley, north of Sydney, it's now 2 weeks since Grant went missing. All his invalid wife Tracy has to hold on to are the memories of the man she has adored for over 20 years.
People have asked me, is there another woman, is there gambling debts, is there... No, he doesn't do stuff like that. I mean, if there's another woman, he's damn good because he's kept her hidden pretty well. And I don't know where he'd find time. But I need him to come and talk to his kids. That's what we need. And sort it out.
And without Grant's income, things have gone from bad to worse for Tracy and the girls.
I rang Centrelink and they told me to come in. They'd give me an emergency payment. Now I have to file for separation. So we do that. Now, because I'm still legally attached to him and they can't verify with him, I'm entitled to $400 a fortnight. Rent in this place is $480 a fortnight. So, things are hard, but we're managing.
Today, Tracy's had an injection for her chronic rheumatism, so she's more mobile than usual. But it's becoming increasingly difficult for her to keep it all together.
Did I ever think I'd find myself in this position? No. If I fall apart, what hope have they got? And Mum's the strong one, so if Mum loses it... Yeah.
In the earlier case of mechanic Stanley Wallace, found in hospital after 3 days...
Had to see Mr Wallace at his home. He's been discharged from hospital. Still got no idea as to why he's admitted to hospital. So have a chat to him and find out what caused him to end up there.
Police are confused by the bizarre circumstances surrounding his disappearance.
Looking good now.
You reckon I look a bit better than what I did before?
You didn't look too good at all when we last saw you.
It turns out Stanley was stricken with a life-threatening problem with his bowel.
Yeah, he just got a bowel obstruction, so she tells me. And, you know, it just felt like someone had a balloon or a hand pump and just pumping it up, you know? And, like, I think panic got into more or less the whole thing. And from then on in, the situation just got worse and worse.
And even though he couldn't stand, Stanley somehow managed to drive himself to hospital.
But, yeah, that's the most stupid part of the whole thing. You know, that is absolutely stupid doing that. But we all think we can handle our own problems, and I'll be right, I'll sort this out, you know. But
on arrival, he was delirious and couldn't tell anyone who or where he was.
To anybody else out there, you know, I'm telling you now, there's only one thing to do, and that's ring 000, because they're the people that are here to look after us, and I'm sure they would have did a much better job than me.
Janelle's now holding on tight. She knows that Stanley is a lucky man.
I think the heart started running at a normal rate after that, once we found him. It wasn't running too well before that, but I don't know, just relief. Just cried for relief, I think, more than anything else. Very good. Yep, lovely. Thank you.
Hey?
Good to have you home.
Yep, it's good to be back home and feeling reasonably fit. Don't cry. No. Not allowed.
Not allowed. Not allowed. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Hey?
Back in Adelaide, in the 4-decade-old case of missing mums Joyce Eastwood and Hazel Pope,
Clearly their disappearance was planned.
While Kate's new lead has gone nowhere here in Adelaide, there's still that link to Perth and the bill possibly signed by both women.
You can look at it as several scenarios, I suppose, and one of them could be that they've gone off to create a new life for themselves. It might be that they have been able to somehow manage, unofficially, to get back to England.
That's your mum and dad there on the right.
Yep.
They may have their reason for disappearing,
I can see Michael and...
but try explaining that to their 11 children.
I mean, me as a mother, I can't imagine walking away from my children, and which makes me wonder, is she still out there?
There were those periods of, you know, anger and that kind of thing, but I'd like to meet her. Yep, that would be good.
I have got, you know, beautiful children, which are her grandchildren, and beautiful great-grandchildren, you know, that I'm sure would like to have a part of her in their lives too. Yeah.
Back at the Missing Persons Unit, a fresh case kicks off.
Hi Daryl, it's Senior Constable Cicluna from the Missing Persons Unit. How you going?
Oh, could be better, mate.
Liz has begun her search for missing 18-year-old mum Andrea Streak, who disappeared after placing a personal ad for a truckie.
She had a bit of a strange phone call on Friday night and just sort of broke down after it.
Liz is talking to Andrea's de facto Daryl, who reported her missing.
But when she got off the phone, I said, you were talking to a fella, and that's when she sort of broke down and started, and, you know, she said, I don't want to hurt you, I don't mean to hurt you, and I said, well, where did this fella come from? And she said, I put an ad in the paper, and...
So she told you that she put an ad in the paper?
Yeah, and I didn't even sort of take much notice of it.
Can you just tell me a bit about this ad?
Just says 18-year-old mum, loves drives, loves pubs, loves tattoos.
Is that her?
Yeah, she's fanatical about tattoos. And it just said, looking for Aussie truck driver or something, aged 20 to 40.
All right, well, look, we'll pop up very shortly
Yep.
and have another chat with you and just get some more things that we might not be able to get over the phone.
Yeah.
But, oh, look, well, until we speak, take care with the kids.
I will do, yes.
And,
trying to keep it together.
All right, then.
All right.
I'll,
see you a little bit later on.
I'll see you a little bit later on.
Okay, thanks
for that. Bye. Well, Andrea's a missing 18-year-old girl. She's got 2 kids, both under the age of 2. Her de facto partner's 46 years old, so there's some years between them. It's not so much her age that's the issue. It's more the fact that she's placed an ad in a newspaper and she's taken off. We don't know who with. We don't know if she's actually okay, if she's alive. So we're very worried about her.
The stakes increase in the search for personal ad mum Andrea Street, a body recovered from a favourite holiday spot on the Murray River, and family love. David hasn't been seen for 3 years, and yet his mum has built him a new house.
Telephone me and let me know where you are.